I'm asking Paolo Crepe, Giordano Bruno Guerri, Franco Arminio, Professor Bruno to take the floor here. I mean, to take their seat here. There's going to be a lunch break soon. I wouldn't use lunch in English, but say pranzo in Italian, because we have a good vocabulary without using English. So once again, I'd like to thank the speakers for these wonderful speakers. If every single morning I had these kind of panelists, I really would be happy. Is there any question that you have for our speakers? So there is a gentleman down there who should be speaking into a microphone. You should kindly speak into the microphone. Thank you very much. Apologies for being so excited about asking this question. I really would like to thank Tony D'Andrea Isapulire for granting this outstanding opportunity for oxygenating our mind. I love history. I am a communication worker, and I really appreciated all of your speeches. I'd like to ask your opinion about this. In 1949, Orwell stated, "Those who control the past will also control the future. Those who control the present also control the future. I mean the past." I organized a meeting on this, but not everybody knows that Bella Ciao was written in 1953, it spread it in 1957, and then became the music of Italians in 1964. So sometimes historical truth is far from reality. What I mean to say that in Italy we have 5 million people who are illiterate. There are young people between the age of 14 and 20 who cannot stop looking at their phones for a period longer than 15 minutes. So what I'm saying is that with a social network that becomes the depository of our news, we heard about the diagnosis. What could be the therapy, the treatment to move out of this constraint? Because we are less and less citizens and more subjects. I fully agree with Monio Vadia what he said. Let's try and make a comment. You all, Professor Kerpe, please, into microphone. First of all, I believe that we all agree with Monio Vadia, but we are all politicians in one way or another. Politics doesn't mean to hold a meeting or to represent a political party, specifically political party. Anybody is a politician. You are a politician. You governed a hospital ward at a terrible time of our history, and you point to the merit, and this is very political. You are a very good physician. Why didn't you say at the very beginning of your speech, I would really want to have a physician like you. I don't want a person who doesn't even know where liver is. I don't want remote medicine, telemedicine. This is a matter of fact. And how do we get out of this? Having our own know-how, I mean, developing our skills. And this is a breakthrough. I'm here because I'm good at what I do. They are good at what they're doing. Why so? Why did you invite them? And this is a matter of fact. I just want to steal some of your time. I had a terrible experience because in Aosta 1 week ago, I met with young students, 15, 16 years of age, moving from middle school to high school, 500 students in the room. I said, I will be stating a few things and please ask questions. Let's start. So I was very provocative in my speech, and so we started. A girl stood up. The first one of very many that repeated the same thing. So she asked a question, very interesting, a complicated question at that. She spoke about the future and what else. She stood there, and after 1 minute, she sat down and she started looking at her phone. I really was cross. I said, "You are, first of all, very badly mannered. Then you are stupid because you have this opportunity to listen to my answer and you watch your phone." But then I thought, she can't resist looking at her phone. She's not to be blamed because cognitively speaking, she can't stop watching her phone. So if our communication just lasts 30 or 50 seconds, this will entail the end of communication. You spoke about your roots, your personal experiences. I did the same thing, and you did the same thing, speaking about your experience of COVID-19. You covered things that really were thrilling, but our communication cannot last for 30 seconds. There can't be a tweet on the Irpinia earthquake, 140 characters. This is not enough. Let's rebel against all this. This is the worst of wars that we should be fighting, because the war is in our mind, in our brain. How can we solve this problem? Let's think of a hybrid future. Of course, we'll be sending our emails, but then we should be turning off our PCs, our computers, and turn off our music. Arminio, have you got any comment to make? I feel well. Physically speaking, I wouldn't be that pessimist about the future of Italy. We are dying, but we are also being treated. We are always on the edge, on the brink of a solution. So we should take this momentum, because listening to what Omonio Vadia said, I thought I should be speaking about this on my social network profile. So this concerns me. I should be speaking about Salvemini, and when he said that normal life is a privilege, this should be disseminated. If we were not diagnosed cancer today, this is a miracle. And if you don't receive any phone call about a road accident engaging your son, you are happy. I mean, you are lucky. Let's leverage on our injuries. We are deeply injured, but Salvemini, though having his 5 children dying because of earthquake, turned his life into great opportunity for us all. We shouldn't be feeling convalescence even before getting sick. We are all here with a bottle of water, fearing about the future. Let's move out of this hospital. Let's go to the coffee house, to the tavern. Let's make love. And there is a difference with respect to what Monio Vada said. This can be done. We must be optimists. We should be triggering our sensuality, because culture is energy. And everybody of us who was privileged enough to sit in this room today should disseminate this information tomorrow. I will be meeting young people tonight, and I will covering my experience today, this morning, because this is the Italy we should be creating, rebuilding. We should be being optimist. We can make it. We can be covering the adventures of our heroes. We shouldn't be worrying about our neighbors, if they are a bit pale, and this will energize us all as well. We can be cured only if we are heroic, if we are mystical. Otherwise, we'll be subdued to events. Moni? Given that Franco triggered my reaction, that's all what I do. My life is to speak to people in schools, across Italy, to tell my story, to tell these stories, and I might be privileged but I met outstanding young people. I was not referring to productive Italy, whether these are artists or entrepreneurs or teachers, professors, all those who are living an alternative life are the positive side of Italy. What Giordano Bruno, the person who mentioned Giordano Bruno, will we in a sort of make a tabula rasa of what Giordano Bruno wrote? We shouldn't be stating that Italy is a great country. There was someone said this, but there's many Italians who do outstanding things, and this is a miracle. Italy is a miracle per se. But we should be understanding that the pillars, the bearing structures such as public administration, the ministries are all rotten. We shouldn't be forgetting this, because otherwise we will not be moving the right direction. I have been a militant for 55 years. I stopped being a militant, but I didn't stop supporting what I believe in. This is not what I'm saying. Beware. There is a beautiful sentence by Father Maria Turoldo where he states, damned those who preach resignation. Like you say, let's be aware that we will be moving against the flow, because Italy as a country does not favor those who are generous and engaged and involved. And I'll tell you a short story. I hosted in my home 3 Ukraine refugees. They became a part of my family. They remained with me for 5 months, and now they went back to Ukraine. I could do it. I did it. I asked nothing, but there was plenty of rhetoric speeches at the time when we had to host Ukrainians, but the public institutions never asked me anything. I mean, do you need anything? I needed nothing, but a friend of mine who has an exhibition space in Milan, she rented out. She turned this exhibition space in 30 small flats. There was also a place where these people could find food. All that came to this food, shelter and garments, etc., were given by private citizens. What do politicians do? They send tons of weapons to Ukraine, but nothing to these Ukrainians who came to find a shelter, came to Italy to find a shelter. So there are fearsome deficits from this perspective. So we should be brave enough as to state this, report this on our side, of course. So we should be moving against the flow in an obstinate manner to give this country what it deserves, because Italy is an incredibly rich country in all sectors, in all disciplines, even the ones we mentioned, both I and Franco Arminio. This is what I do personally. I'm not saying that we should shut our doors. I could do this because actually I'm 76. I am a little fed up with these experiences. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving up. But we should not be forgiving. Those politicians should be granting opportunities to people who work hard, who are engaged. And then you mentioned the case of the Albanians coming to Italy to find a better life. What about the Riace mayor? Instead of saying, let's repopulate our villages who are no longer inhabited, let's create a new reality. No, he was criminalized. He was sentenced to many years of jail. There is something we cannot move out from, and what I decided is not to forgive those who are our politicians. That's why I go and vote, but to reject the ballot, the election ballot. These are not general elections, these are a fraud. So this is not being biased. Thank you very much.
No, volevo, mentre parlava Monio Vadia...
While Monio Vadia was speaking, I thought of this.
Assolutamente, come dire, una...
And it's not criticism toward what you say. You make the baby and the bathwater go together when we speak about bureaucracy. But when we speak about this, I often remember my meetings with extraordinary mayors who are in the forefront, in the front lines, and also some state managers. And when I worked in my consulting profession with the state, I found employees in the public administration, and some of them were highly skilled with yes, but it's always those going against the current, and then Professor Bruno, and then Professor Guerri. As you said so many things connected to memory, remembrance, and just like we said in the title, Giordano Bruno Guerri said that the title is wonderful. It's Tony D'Andrea's idea for the title, The Value of Memory in the Building of a Civil Conscience. And what I ask you, how can we explain the complexity of this world nowadays? And then social media, where just the instant counts. What you said 1 minute ago is already gone. How can you strike the right balance? I believe that Moni is right when he says that the real problem is education. And however, everybody goes to school, and much more so than in the past. And you have compulsory teaching, and today's youth are not less stupid than my peers in the past, just speaking about soccer players. And the problem doesn't lie in the youth, probably, but in their teachers who cannot train them, educate them. And can I interrupt you saying something about this? Now, in the province of Latina, when professors say you don't have to use cell phones, and there's a protest by parents that say no. And you also have this. But the war shouldn't be between cell phones yes and cell phones not. And I have small children. They are 11, 16 years of age, and my small child was making a search on a conflict by ethnical conflict of ethnical groups, and the problem lies in those that train them. I'm not speaking badly about secondary school, primary school teachers, and perhaps the problem is also at a higher level. Who trains teachers, university professors, and it's not their fault. They live in a pedagogical cultural system that perhaps is static, is at a standstill, and yes, cell phones are blamed for everything. No, cell phones can have good use if children are educated to use them in a sensible way and to make right research and then to also have fun. The problem lies in the openness to the world. I travel a lot. I'm just back from Singapore and Kolkata, and I meet so many Italians abroad that went against the national scheme and to learn to grow, they leave Italy, and they are not against Italy, but rather they love Italy so much and they want to find new experience abroad, a new way of facing life, and in every country it's different, and usually they can be perfectly trained, and sorry if I use this sentence that was used by somebody else. We are a great country, great people that, however, yes, has the idea that we are a great country, we are big people, and will remain as such. There's no need to change anything, and instead we need to change everything. We need to change the mindset, and today we have spoken about history and memory and our tribute to memory, but what we should consider is the future. And I gave an award, it's called Genio Vagante, for brain flight, and they are highly criticized because they go abroad. They don't escape, they run forwards, and in Singapore the award was given to a young man that studies artificial intelligence and is amongst the first 5 scientists in the world for artificial intelligence. Do you ever hear about artificial intelligence here in Italy? No research is being made because we don't have institutes, and something in Pisa, but not at a high level. And I cannot give you a solution, obviously, but if we want to save new generations, first of all, we should save those that train them, educate them, and not blaming the youth. Those that are to be blamed are parents and grandparents. Professor Crepet Fausio, and life is always made up of cases. I interviewed him some days ago for a magazine on reputation, and he insists on stressing a concept that he keeps on repeating, that adults surrendered to take their own responsibilities. Is it right? It's one of the big themes, Paolo. And let's end with Professor Bruno. And this last reflection made, well, on the other day I met the CEO, perhaps of the biggest Italian company that works in the field of satellites. It's an Italian-French joint venture. He told me, we're desperately trying to find engineers because that's what we need. And then he made a pause. He's an engineer, and he made a pause and he said, I have to fight with the French because we pay them 1,000 euros a month, 26, 27, 28-year-old engineers that studied. And he said, what can I offer them? Apprenticeship. It's not possible. To give you an idea of what happens in this country. Professor Bruno, very briefly. First of all, before answering you, I'd like to tell you that I perfectly agree on what Moni says. I swim against the current every day, and also in stormy seas. Mediocrity is the big problem in this country. The medium level is very low in this country, and bad politicians put politics, culture as a footnote, to consider culture to be a footnote. And this is in line with what you said. We have the same problem in hospitals. In all Italian hospitals, there's a problem of emergency room. If you go to an emergency room, you have an endless line because the paradigm has changed, and territorial medicine is not so highly present all over the country. Of course, there's a big difference between the north and the south, and people tend to go to emergency rooms, and the mirage for any graduate full-time contract, when you have contest for emergency room physicians, we cannot find them. We are the least paid in Europe, together with Greece and Hungary. And just like I said before, I spoke about nurses. For 1,300 euros a month, who would have a 13-hour shift? A nurse that studies 5 years at the university, it's a university degree, and then 1,300 euros, and an emergency room physician that is denounced and beaten for 2,300 euros a month. That's a big problem. And then, if you also consider the cultural sphere, when you go to a place and your boss knows much less than you know, you cannot fall in love with a job you do. That's the problem of the country. And I'd like to end here, because then apart from this extraordinary morning, we have a rich afternoon, and we need a break. And I'd like to add something humbly. All of this stems from mediocrity of the political class. But there's the responsibility of politicians, of entrepreneurs, journalists, of the ruling class of this country. And each one should take on their responsibilities. We cannot always blame politicians or parties. That's how I think. And I take my responsibility and the responsibility of the category I belong to. We can close. I'd like to thank Giordano Bruno Guerri, Franco Arminio, Professor Bruno, Paolo Crepè, Monio Vadia, and we'll meet again here at around for 2:15, because then we'll have other distinguished guests. Integrated management of services in new normal. Thanks a lot to our guests for having offered us this wonderful morning.